I can make sure we're ready. Oh, I see him coming this way. We're good? Okay, awesome. All right, I'm going to call the Sherwood City Council meeting for May 16th. Thank you, Colleen. Next is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Council. All right, for the consent agenda, we have, looks like 5 items tonight. I'll go ahead and read through those real quick. We have item A, approval of the April 19th, 2023 City Council meeting minutes. Item B, approval of the May 2nd, 2023 City Council meeting minutes. Item C, Resolution 2023-032, authorizing the city manager to sign a 1-year extension to the on-call building plan review and inspection services contract. Wow, that's a mouthful. With Clary Company. Item D, Resolution 2023-033, authorizing the city manager to execute a construction contract for the Southwest Willamette Street Grind and Inlay project. And item E, Resolution 2023-034, reappointing Rick Wadola, did I get it right? Awesome. To the Planning Commission.
Move consent.
Second.
Right. All in favor of approving the agenda, consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And motion passes. Thank you. All right, citizen comments. Do we have any citizen comments, Colleen? Any online? I just probably didn't get that. Is that a no? It's citizen comment time. Is anyone here tonight want to tell us what they think? Good, bad? No? Awesome. All right, we'll move ahead with presentations. So our first presentation is recognition of the Teen Lab participant. Jamie, you want to come up?
Red.
No?
I know how these things
Now
work.
we can hear it, yeah.
All right, Mayor Rosner, City Council, staff. My name is Jamie Thorison. I am the lead youth services librarian at Sherwood Public Library. I'm going to be reading from this paper because I can make a fool of myself in front of preschoolers, but adults scare me, so I'll probably forget what I'm going to say. So thanks for giving me the opportunity this evening to shine a spotlight on Paisley Serrano Ramos. She is graduating from high school and headed off to college. Unfortunately, she can't be here today because she is on a college visit as we speak. I was reaching out to her and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm going to be out of town. So anyway, I still wanted to get her recognized because she is, I will try to paint a picture of the all-around awesome human being that she is. I wanted to recognize her because she isn't like one of the original, but she's been with me long enough to I feel like she's one of the original Teen Lab members. And because she began volunteering when she was in 8th grade as part of the National Junior Honor Society. My program, Teen Lab, gives teens a chance to volunteer at the library, to give them a meaningful experience, to see what librarians do and how we try to provide a diverse and equitable experience for our community members. One of the things I appreciated most about Paisley is her ability to see what needs to be done, and she just does it. So like she didn't, what needs to be done? She's like, oh, this needs to be done, I'm gonna go do it. And she also was a natural leader when some of the newer members or younger members of the volunteer group didn't know what was going on or how to do a thing. She would just swoop in and say, here, let me show how it's done, and just take care of it. So I really appreciated her leadership skills as well. She really shone during the pandemic. One of the ways we tried to reach out to our community, the youth in our community, is through Take and Make craft kits. And she's like, I can't, nobody could come in and help us. So we met on Zoom, but she's like, tell me what needs to be done, I'll do it. And I sent hundreds of Take and Make kits for her to prepare. And she would like get them done quickly. She would bring them back packaged beautifully and say, a note that would say, tell me what else needs to be done and I'll do it, and end with aloha. She was always just really outgoing. During her 5 years in the club, she also helped place labels on hundreds of book club books, decorate the library during the holidays. She helped comb through our picture books and nonfiction books for kids to help weed for condition, and she helped judge the teen art contest. This is just a fraction of the how she spent or how she made an impact on the library. And I want to publicly thank her for giving over 160 hours of volunteer time to the library, and just a big thank you and good luck to Paisley. Thank you.
Name one more time fully.
Paisley Sorono Ramos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
All right. All right, our next item is we have two public hearings tonight. And Ryan, I think you're going to have some help reading us into the public
Sure.
hearing here.
I'd like to take just a moment, if that's okay, Your Honor, and introduce Emma Gill. And she is the city's law clerk and has been here for 2 weeks. This is your second week, right?
Tomorrow's 2 weeks.
Tomorrow's 2 weeks. She's doing a fantastic job. Emma, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then let's get into the public hearing.
All right. My name is Emma. I am a rising 3L at Willamette University down in Salem at their law school. I did my undergrad and lived my entire life in Virginia before I moved out to Oregon to do law school, and I have loved it here so far. The heat waves have made me a little unsure, but I'm still sold. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Public hearing on the Ordinance 2023-004, adopting the Sherwood Procurement Code, Chapter 110, and Ordinance 2023-005, approving a minor land partition of Tax Lot 400 of Washington County Assessor Map 2S129CD, and an amendment to the city's general plan and zoning map to rezone the approximately 3.3-acre portion of the site to high-density residential from residential commercial is called to order. The public hearing this evening will be conducted as follows. Staff will present the staff report, questions, if any, by City Council for staff, and then we will receive any written testimony. We will then open the public hearing for testimony, and the time will be limited to 4 minutes per person. Any interested in person may present testimony. We will then close the public hearing, and no other comments will be heard from the public. And we will conclude with final comments by staff, questions of staff, if any, by the council, and discussion by the council. This is the first hearing before the City Council on Ordinance 2023-005. Generally, Council will hold 2 hearings prior to making a decision. A hearing on this item is currently scheduled for June 6th. However, in accordance with the City Charter, Council reserves the right to make a decision at the close of this hearing by a unanimous vote of all sitting Council members. This is the second hearing before the City Council on Ordinance 2023-004. A decision may be made by the Council at the close of this hearing, or the matter may be continued to a time and date certain. If this matter is continued to a date certain, this will be the only notice of that date you receive. If you wish to speak, please fill out one of the request to speak forms and submit it to the city recorder prior to the time the public hearing is open for testimony. The mayor will recognize people who wish to speak, and any comments must be addressed through the mayor. When you come forward, please state your name and your place of residence for the record, as this hearing will be recorded. Please speak clearly into the microphone. In reaching a decision on this item, the City Council may be required to consider whether the matter meets relevant approval criteria and any other applicable law. If applicable, those criteria are identified in the staff report, and testimony and evidence must address other criteria or other criteria you believe apply to this decision.
Awesome, thank you. All right, that was a great lead-in. So we're going to start with Ordinance 2023. I'm going to turn it over to Ryan for staff report.
Good evening.
2023-004.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, councilors. We are here for the second reading, as Emma said. And I'll just, in the interest of time, give a real brief summary of what we're doing here. ORS 279 A, B, and C are Oregon's procurement laws. They allow cities to adopt their own procurement codes so long as they follow ORS 279 A, B, and C. The city of Sherwood did that in 2005, and that is the last time that our code was touched. We've been through numerous work sessions on this. We had our first reading last council, and I think we have a product that is not only going to be beneficial to the city, but also is going to save substantial resources in the form of staff time. So I will recommend that we approve this tonight, and if you have any questions, I am happy to field those at this time.
like you're off the hook. All right, we'll go ahead and open up a public hearing for comments. Do we have anyone that wants to give comment on this ordinance? All right, I will close the public hearing. Any final comments from staff?
No final comments.
Any final questions for staff?
No questions. I think the staff did a great job of presenting this to us through several work sessions and the last public hearing, so I'm very comfortable proceeding.
And I was just going to say, and I felt like safeguards were in place as well, and we were making it more transparent and everything else. So I felt like, all my concerns were addressed. If the public wants to know more details, we have a work session that we did on it a couple weeks ago, or a month ago, or anyway, so.
I'll also caveat on that, I'm happy to make myself available to any member of the public that would have questions about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy with the outcome of the product. It's going to allow some flexibility with staff to make things a little bit easier, getting through some RFP processes and purchasing.
Yep. Awesome. I think everyone said it really well. I appreciate all the hard work. Thank you, Ryan. And if I remember right, when we interviewed you, we asked you to come up with a set of what would you do first if you got the job, and this was on that list, and here it is, and now you're getting it done. So thank you very much for that. All right. Well, sounds like we don't have any more comments. Do I have a motion?
I will read, caption, adopt ordinance 2023-004, adopting the Sherwood Procurement Code, Chapter 1.10.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second. Colleen, you want to roll call the vote?
Aye.
Counselor Giles?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Awesome. And the motion passes. We have new ordinance. Thank you, council. Thank you, staff, for putting all that together. All right, so our next ordinance is ordinance 2023-005, approving a minor land partition of tax lot 400. We'll go ahead and get staff up here. Erica.
Doesn't look like Joy. But we take Erica too.
Keeping Erica busy tonight.
Joy apologizes that she can't make it tonight.
All right.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So tonight before you, this is the first reading on this ordinance. This is a recommendation from the Planning Commission for a zone change and a minor land partition. So the applicant is proposing to partition a parcel to create about a 3-acre parcel and a zone change from retail commercial to high-density residential. The parcel is located along Southwest Langer Drive, and this is a Type 5 application because it is a zone change. So you are the final decision maker. Here we see the site. The site is the Sherwood Plaza Center, located along Southwest Langer Drive, south of Highway 99. The site is improved with the Sherwood Plaza Shopping Mall. Oops, let me... And the 3.3-acre eastern portion of the parcel that is proposed to be partitioned is vacant with a grassy field. The site has direct access to Langer Drive, and the partition site will also have access to Langer Drive through an easement. So once again, the site is identified on this slide with a star and a zoned retail commercial. The properties north and west of the subject site are also zoned retail commercial, with land uses consisting of retail shops, restaurants, fast food service, hair and nail salons. And the property to the east, it's zoned high-density residential planned unit development with land uses of attached townhomes and apartment complexes. And the properties to the south are also zoned high-density residential PUD and also retail commercial PUD with land uses consisting of a residential care facility and an apartment complex. So here we see the proposed partition, parcel 1 and parcel 2. And the parcel that's in the orange color there is proposed for high-density residential development. There we go again, kind of in better detail. This slide is just showing all the applicable criteria. In our code, a zone change has to be consistent with the comprehensive plan, state planning goals, and the transportation planning rule. And the partition needs to be consistent with each of the zone's dimensional standards, and that it can be adequately served by infrastructure, and that it can't hinder development on adjacent parcels. So that's the criteria. First, I just want to go over the two land uses. The current use of retail commercial generally allows for all sorts of general retail stores, restaurants, medical, business, and professional offices. It also allows for multifamily housing subject to the specific standards, including the entire ground floor must be non-residential. So housing is only permitted on the upper floors, and the first floor minimum ceiling height is 12 feet, and the maximum density is that of the high-density residential zone. The high-density residential zone provides for higher density multifamily housing with a density between 6.8 to 24 dwelling units per acre, and the building types could be attached townhomes, apartments, or condos. So those are the two uses. The criteria for a map amendment is presented on this slide. So the zoning amendment needs to be consistent with the goals and policies of the comp plan and of the transportation plan. And there needs to be a demonstrated need for the particular use in the proposed zoning. And the proposed amendment needs to be timely considering the pattern of developments and surrounding land uses in the area. So I'm going to touch on now the demonstratable need and timeliness. The housing needs analysis, I know we've talked about the housing needs analysis a lot before, shows that Sherwood has a deficit of homes in the 20-year forecasted supply. This includes all housing types in residential zones, but there is a deficit of 145 high-density residential units. The H&A supports the ongoing need for residential land at all densities. Alternative sites in the area for multifamily are limited due to availability, the need for annexation to occur, especially in the Brookman area, and the addition for needed infrastructure. The applicant has provided additional analysis, and it's provided in the staff report, on the challenges of retail uses in the current location. The site's location and configuration really presents challenges to retail use in terms of visibility, access, and effective site planning because of the lot configuration. Residential uses are likely feasible, and multifamily development is a common transition between uses for retail, commercial, and residential areas. The applicant did prepare a transportation planning rule analysis to determine possible impacts on the city's transportation system. And the analysis found that the high-density residential development would result actually in fewer trips, and that the traffic volume remains consistent with the city's TSP. ODOT has reviewed the analysis and also concurs that there will be a reduction of the number of trips from general commercial to high-density residential. And it will not have negative impacts to ODOT's facility, which is Highway 99. So as proposed, the application meets the partition criteria in the Sherwood Development Code. I'm not going to go through it all because it's in your staff report. But it definitely meets the dimensional standards criteria. It has access to Langer Drive, and it does not hinder future development on any other surrounding parcels. So we did route this application to all of our affected agencies. We did the public notice per the city's development code, and as of this date, no public comments were received, and we didn't receive any public comments at the Planning Commission hearing either. So your council alternatives for this proposal is to approve the application based on the, oops. I just sped ahead of myself, okay. So we have three alternatives here. You can approve the application based on the findings and conditions in the Planning Commission's recommendation. You can approve the application with modified findings and conditions, or you can deny the application with modified findings. And we do have a second hearing scheduled for June 6th on this proposal.
Awesome, thank you, Erica. And just a reminder for the public, because we don't have the entire council tonight, we couldn't choose to adopt this tonight anyways, because it takes a unanimous vote of all councilors. So with that, any questions for staff from council?
With the high density, or the new zoning, right? High density residential. Are we hamstrung at all by the amount of parking spaces? My only concern would be is if people are going to start parking in the commercial area next to it, you know, with all those businesses and everything.
So parking will be reviewed when a site plan application comes in
Okay,
for further
so that's
development.
down the
So
road.
that's down the road.
Okay,
The first step is the partition of the zone
Yeah.
change for the multifamily to occur on that parcel.
great.
Go ahead.
Exhibit A, page 5, the Engineering Department Land Use Application Completeness Review Comments. 94. There are items marked deemed incomplete. How much does that factor into this process right now?
Don't have that page actually in front of me.
Well, that I'm sure they did. Yeah, this is the first time I'm seeing that in one of these, and so I was curious.
I don't know, does it,
There's multiple. It's existing condition plan section incomplete for engineering LU review. Another one is for the transportation section.
oh,
Another
okay.
one is for the water section.
Yes. So this was the completeness review, and this was just put in as an exhibit. All of these items, the applicant is now complete.
Okay.
They've resolved all of these issues.
Okay. Thank you.
If I remember right, this property back in like 2016 was also had a site plan for apartments or something back then?
That is true.
Did they not have to do a zone change back then for that plan?
So they did not need to do a zone change in 2016 because retail commercial still allows for multifamily.
We made that change.
On the
like-
bottom floor.
We made that change like a year
Yep.
ago, yeah.
Makes sense. Okay.
Also, I think the partition was the other issue because of the lease situation on the land, so whether they needed to do a zone change or not, they still would have needed to do a partition, I think,
yeah.
either way, but.
It's, in my opinion, kind of fits with what's going on behind that building and all the residential around it. Anyway, so.
Okay, any other questions? All right, so we'll go ahead and open the public hearing at this point. Colleen, do we have anybody that wants to give testimony? No? Check online. Did you? Okay. Okay, we'll go ahead and start with you. So go ahead and state your name and address for the record.
Just one moment.
You're the applicant. Ah. Awesome. Yeah.
Well, my drive isn't popping up at the moment, but my name is Marie Holliday with AKS Engineering, and I'll be presenting on behalf of the applicant.
I see it over there now, USB drive D. D drive.
Perfect, thank you.
It needs to be,
Say start without your data. And then close it. Let's see. Confirm and start browsing. All right.
Thank you. It's actually really large on here too.
There's a zoom up. There we go.
Alrighty. My name is Marie Holliday with AKS Engineering, and for the record, my address is 12965 Southwest Herman Road, Suite 100, Tualatin, Oregon, 97062. And this project was a culmination of efforts on behalf of the applicant, Six Corners LLC. Again, my name is Marie Holliday with AKS Engineering. We provided the land use planning and civil engineering on the project. Kittleson and Associates provided the TPR analysis and transportation documentation. And Johnson Economics, we have Brendan on the line, and he provided the land use economics study for the project. So jumping right in, staff gave a very thorough presentation, so I'll try and stay brief here. The property is about 13 acres on the south side of Southwest Linger Drive there, just south of the Sherwood Market Center, including Hobby Lobby, lots of other commercial entities. South of the site, there's also some high-density residential homes there. Avamere at Sherwood is a convalescent care community, Sunfield Lakes Apartments, and then up along Linger Drive there in Holland Lane, there's some attached housing. So again, this project is for a two-parcel partition. Partition is a type 2 application, but we're bundling it with the zone change so that the zone change only impacts the eastern half of the property there. The zoning map amendment is to high-density residential. Again, the property is currently zoned retail commercial. And Erica mentioned that a future site plan review will assess on-site improvements. So here's an overview of the preliminary partition plat. The zone change will result in a 3.3 acre property there on the eastern side, and access is planned to remain as it currently exists along Southwest Linger Drive. And so there's a 40-foot planned access easement through parcel 1 to parcel 2. And that's shown with that yellow asterisk on the south side of Linger Drive. So that's currently where the Sherwood Plaza Center gains their access. So here's a photo of the city of Sherwood zoning map. You can see the property is currently retail commercial, and up toward the northwest quadrant of the city continues commercial development. And then at our property, you can see we're pretty much surrounded by residential development to the south and east. So although this current application is only for a zone change and partition, a conceptual site plan is there shown for you on the screen, and it gives you an idea of what could be built there on site. The owner envisions a multifamily residential community, again, keeping that access on Linger Drive currently, though there are some other options to consider. And those provisions of public improvements, including access, other transportation improvements, design standards, architectural materials, all that will be reviewed at the time of site plan review. So the zoning map amendment approval criteria is on page 12 of the staff report, and Erica went through that criteria in detail, but again, the project materials show consistency with the comprehensive plan goals and policies. We were looking at the attributable housing goals section of the comp plan for that. As shown in the Kittleson documentation, the use complies with the transportation planning rule, meaning there's no significant impacts on any nearby intersections. And again, ODOT didn't provide any negative comments either. And the project is also consistent with the approval criteria there found in section 16.080B. And those criteria 1 through 4 are generally, again, regarding the comprehensive plan goals and policies, and showing that the project is consistent with not only the comp plan, but also compatible with the land use pattern of the area, that the use fits the site, and that it makes sense. Erica kind of brought up some of the issues that currently are posed on the site, including access, configuration. The site is really long and rectangular, making it hard hard to circulate around the site with large buildings, meaning your buildings need to stay quite a bit smaller. And so this site really makes sense to be developed as multifamily. There's a lot of nearby walkable commercial amenities and services for residents, and we think that changing this site to high-density residential will allow this vacant area to get some life. So with that, the applicant concurs with the findings and conditions in the staff report, and we appreciate the Planning Commission's unanimous recommendation of approval, and we would appreciate your approval this evening. I'm available for any questions.
I think you have a colleague that wants to give testimony as well.
Yeah, sure. So I mentioned, Brendan Baker, he's on the line with Johnson Economics. And so if you had any questions on the economic need from taking commercial land and changing it into high-density residential, he's here to answer any of those technical questions.
Okay, great. So if I understand correct, he's just here for questions.
Sure.
Great, awesome. All right, council, do we have any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I think my question is for a later phase, because it doesn't do us a whole lot of good if we put high-density residential in here if they're $1 million apartments, right? You know what I mean? And so that's why is this meant to be, again, an affordable housing solution? I think that's down the road. So that was my only thought when I was reading this, is I love the idea of developing it and making it usable. I also just, I guess that's,
I think that would be more for when there's a site plan
the site
review.
plan.
But
Perfect, yeah. So no questions at this time then.
no? Right, thank you so much, appreciate it. All right. Do we have anyone else that wants to give testimony or comment on this project? No? All right, well, I'm just double checking, and everything. So I guess at this point, this is the first reading. I'll go ahead and close the public hearing at this point, and we will bring this up again on June 6th. Anything else we need to do? Do you want to have some discussion now? Yeah, go ahead.
To me, this is the highest and best use of this land. It fills a housing need in the community, and it's totally compatible and congruent and fits perfectly with the surrounding development on all sides. It's kind of a no-brainer to me. So we can't vote on it tonight, but it's an easy vote next time around.
That was essentially the consensus of the Planning Commission as well, which is why they approved this. They had some questions about things further along, like Taylor had talked about, but that's not discussion for this specific case right now. And so I agree that this land makes sense for this use, and better use than the commercial space that can't really be accessed behind the other commercial space.
There's a reason it's never been built.
Yeah,
That's right.
I think it's been a vacant lot since for the 20 years I've lived here.
Awesome. Anything else? I agree with everything that's been said so far. It's the perfect place for adding high-density residential. Matches up really well. So great. Well, if we don't have any other comments or discussion at this point, we will go ahead and defer this to our next meeting. Awesome. All right. So moving on, we have City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to start by inviting Eric Rutledge, our Community Development Director, up. Thank you, Keith. Good evening, Mayor, City Councilors. Eric Rutledge, Community Development Director. I'd like to introduce you to our new Associate Planner, Hugo. Come on up. Hugo is going to be working on our current planning, so when this application actually comes in, Hugo will likely be taking it on. And I'll just tout him a little bit. It was, it's a competitive process. Some positions we're not getting a lot of applicants on, but some we are, and we did get quite a few applications for this position. Hugo kind of rose to the top. In the interview, he said, "I can do pro formas," and we said, "You're hired." We're looking for someone with some technical skill, someone that can sort of look at a developer's proposal, and especially related to housing. We're getting a lot of housing applications, and sort of break that down on the city side is a skill that we don't really have. He also is well-versed in GIS and has education and experience that I'll let him speak to, so we're happy to have him.
Hi, Mayor Rosner, councilors, thank you guys for having me. As he said, my name is Hugo Augusto. I'm originally from Grants Pass, Oregon, and Southern Oregon, so similar size population, city composition-wise. I have a master's in urban and regional planning from Portland State University, and I have a master's in real estate development from Portland State University. I think my goal or my desire, kind of like pursuing those avenues specifically, was to work in like the public sector, and then also build skills and offer skills to like city jurisdictions, particularly pertaining towards like geographic information systems, mapping, data analytics, and turns out I really like finance. So yeah, any project I could pretty much break down, which is great. But thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, wait. There might be questions. We always ask questions. Any questions for Hugo? No questions? Come on, Taylor.
I'll ask a question.
All right.
Did we steal you away from some other jurisdiction? You don't have to name the jurisdiction, just.
No, I was commuting about an hour every day, so this is definitely an improvement. Yeah.
So it's closer.
Yeah, I was with the city of Salem prior to this, so.
And you live this direction, so.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah, and
Okay.
I wanted to work for like a smaller jurisdiction. I feel like it's a lot more homier. I feel like there's a lot more community, you know, and I think as you get older, you appreciate the environment that you come from, right? And I was like trying to find something in that realm and found it, so it's great.
No better place than Sherwood to work.
Yeah, or live.
Or live.
Hey, so we'll ask the same question we asked Ryan. Now, with your limited experience so far with the planning department, what changes would you like to make in your first little bit? No, I'm just saying. What do you want to do? What are you hoping to accomplish?
No, I would love to like work on a lot more economic development. I think that, you know, growing an economy, diversifying an economy is super important. I know that's something that Southern Oregon has been kind of trying to develop and try to figure out, especially growing up. And I think that Sherwood is definitely becoming like the it place to be. And so kind of working on their economy and really kind of making it thrive is my desire, my goal, my dream. So.
Well, in reality, we can't list it as a benefit, but working with Eric and Bruce will help you accomplish that. They're very good at what they're doing, so you get a front row seat at that. So, good answer though.
That was an interesting question. You guys have any questions over the side? Well, welcome to the team. I say this all the time. Sherwood's the best run city in the state, as far as I'm concerned. We have a great team here. And we're doing a lot of really interesting stuff, which you probably are already aware of. And so happy to have you on board.
You guys.
Do you have anything else, Mr. City Manager?
A couple more things. This is our last meeting until D-Day, June 6th, so a couple things I just wanted to mention. We are anticipating a road closure on Tualatin Sherwood Road starting at 10 p.m. June 2nd and extending until 5 a.m. June 5th. We will be promoting information on alternate routes that people can take to get around, but that road closure is going to be from Gerda Lane to Oregon Street. Basically, it's the railroad there, so there'll be alternate routes, but just want to make people aware of that with the traffic we get on Tualatin Sherwood Road.
Can I ask a quick question about that? Because when we did the initial planning for that project with the county, they committed that they would always have 2 lanes open. Is that a change, or? So it's kind of an issue where they just can't do it in halvesies. They got to do it. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so just for everyone who couldn't hear, it's railroad related, so that's the reason why. In the last meeting, we had a work session with KPFF talking about the colors of the bridge. So I just want to let everyone know that survey is now live and is available on SherwoodOregon.gov. It's also posted on our Facebook page, so I would encourage people since today is election day and polls are getting ready to close, to encourage everyone to go vote in our bridge survey.
Go Team Red.
I think we close at the end of this week is when we're going to close it.
We don't want to taint the, hold on, we don't want to taint
I
the.
do not have anything public to say about that.
I'll talk to you.
Nice, Fred.
Also, I do want to say that the Veterans Park construction, we do have a dedication ceremony. We've been working with the American Legion. That dedication ceremony will be Saturday, June 3rd at 11 a.m. So just make sure you mark that on your calendar. And finally, our first budget meeting is Thursday, May 25th, right here at 6 p.m. With that, Mr. Mayor, I'll be happy to answer any questions, except for what color is winning in the bridge survey.
Give us a hand.
So I'm going to go with my standard question. Are we on track for the Freedom Plaza or the Festival Plaza? Whatever it is.
The Robin Hood Theater.
Robin Hood Plaza.
Festival Plaza. Robin Hood Plaza.
So the contractor is still working to deliver on time, which is May 31st. And we do think there's a possibility that they will be late on that. June 7th would be a possibility of a date. We do have in the contract where for every day that they're late, there are penalties for that. So we'll see where it lands. But things still seem to be trending on time. And then I got a text message earlier that the Woodhaven Park is done. So on time, or in actually sooner than we anticipated. On budget, which is important. So I think it's just a matter of how soon they can get the fencing down. And that's really hot off the presses. So
Great, thanks.
Ask a question since Craig's here. So we know we usually open our water features the Friday of Memorial Day weekend. Of course, there's a lot of people wanting them open during this hot weather. Can you remind us the process it takes to open those? So it's not just flipping a switch, right? We got to test water. We got to do. I couldn't remember, so I didn't feel like I could respond because people are like, well, Tualatin has theirs on, and Tiger couldn't get theirs on, so that's okay.
There's a couple things. So we do have to test the water as we get closer to opening them up. Especially at Snyder Park, there's a tank that's got to be drained. We got to run the pumps. We got to go through all the it's winterized stuff, and we got to go through that. We got to be able to meet pool standards, pool and spa standards through Washington County Health before we can open that up. But the bigger thing is once we open that up, we go to 7 days operation, and we budget from Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, for staff to be, yeah.
We actually have staff that work 7 days. We work 7 days a week once those go on.
Perfect.
That's the bigger thing.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Something to potentially consider in the budget for future years, maybe budgeting for a month earlier. I don't know.
So some of it is when we get seasonals.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually,
Because
yeah.
the shelter rental and everything starts up about that time, so.
And when's our end date on it?
September 30th.
Okay, so as always, September. That sounds right. Okay.
Perfect. I mean,
I'll
it's,
tell you, Snyder Park, we're waiting on a pump. Probably gonna be, it's scheduled to be.
We need to
here-
just replace that whole apparatus up there. It's a
scheduled to
mess.
be here like the first.
No sand.
oh, so that one won't.
That one won't be open on, yeah, we've been waiting for quite a while.
Okay. Thanks, Craig.
I have another question for you, Craig, since you're here. With Snyder Park, the water tower, can you give us a status update on?
Yeah, so they were able to open the top up. There's no additional bands that are broke, so we'll be moving into the second phase of making the repairs on that. So once we have the repairs identified completely, they'll start working on that, and hopefully we'll have it operational. We're still running it. It's just a lot lower than what we normally do.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Any other questions for Craig? And, Ryan, I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, I just wanted to give council, I had sent an email a couple of months ago, but just a reminder, I am going to be absent from June 10th through June 30th. I moonlight as a judge advocate for the Army, and I'm going to have some training. So I am in contact with the interim city attorney that plans to be present for council. I am going to be as present and responsive as I can, but there may be periods of time where I'm not available, so just a reminder on that.
Is our interim during that time?
It's going to be, right now, it looks like it's a gentleman named Trevor Caldwell, so we're working through the process of finalizing that, and I'll make sure we make introductions and do that the proper way before I just throw him to council.
Awesome, and thank you for your service. Appreciate that. All right, any other questions? Or K2, did you have anything else you wanted to bring up?
No, Mr. Mayor, I don't.
Other questions? All right, so we will move on to council announcements.
I don't have any. I haven't had any meetings since my last time. You have 10 minutes to vote.
Awesome.
I was just gonna say the same thing.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
There you go.
I also have not had any meetings except for something that you've recently pointed me to.
So, well, since you brought it up, so ODOT has 5 planning regions in the state. We are in ODOT Region 1, and each of those regions has a TAC, Technical Advisory Committee, and the Washington County mayors unanimously voted Kim to be a representative on the TAC, which is going to be great. So Kim will be joining Heidi Lube, the mayor of Tigert, Steve Calloway, Hillsborough, and Melinda
From 12 and
Forest Grove.
Oh, Forest
So
Grove.
Forest Grove. So we're real happy to have 2 representatives on this side of the county, especially as we go into the tolling conversation over the next 2 years. So congratulations. They found out you were interested and no one else put their name in. They were all scared.
got that. What'd you say, Doug?
You were voluntold.
Yeah.
Anyways, congratulations on that. That's a big deal.
Appreciate it.
Doug?
I haven't had any parks meetings since our last meeting either. I was just gonna comment on the festival plaza. I saw that the screening is up on the back side of it, which looks really good. The poles are up. I see the forms for the planters are up. I see forms for what looks to be foundational for the bricks are up. So it feels like it's getting close. It looks like it's getting close. So I'm pretty excited about seeing that, and I'm happy to hear about the Veterans Park ceremony on the 3rd of June. So that's good. Yeah, I think great job on the playground equipment as well. So city staff just continues to do a tremendous job across the board. So thanks to all of them.
The Planning Commission met last Tuesday, and they approved the economic opportunities analysis, and so we should be seeing that shortly. And it's
So that